is Focus with Jack Caudill.
Good evening, I'm Jack Caudill. Welcome to this month's edition of Focus. This month we're going to have a conversation with Oglala Sioux Tribal President Frank Starr comes out, and a little background on him before we get going. He defeated Kevin Killer in the election back in November, was sworn into office on December 6th of last year. He's a U.S. Marine veteran serving in Operation Desert Storm, and Operation Desert Shield, and Operation Restore Hope in Somalia. Thank you very much for coming up. Appreciate it. You're coming up on the 6-month mark now of your first term in office here with the Oglala Sioux tribe. How has that gone so far for you?
Well, I've been extremely busy. We've been tackling a lot of issues on our homelands, and trying to get myself established and focused on my agenda. But there's so many. There's a wide variety of issues, so it's taking longer than I expected to get on track here. So
at your inauguration, you had said that your biggest focus is going to be lifting people out of poverty. How do you get that done, and how big of a challenge is getting that done?
It's a extremely tough challenge. As you know, we face a lot of hardships on our reservation, and you know, I've been focusing on my attention in DC also to lobby funds for our tribe, and so I made I think about 4 trips to DC. I also testified in DC on just basically funding and advocating for our tribe on some of the issues we have that we face on our reservation. So it's been challenging.
How tough is that to turn that around when that poverty has gone back for such a long period of time before now?
How long? It's since, I would say, since America was probably formed. You know, since we've encountered I should say, but it's been going on for decades. You know, over a century since we were established with the Indian Reorganization Act. You know, we've been fighting issues. It's always been a problem for us, and our treaties. So it's just been tough.
For people that are not familiar with the reservation, how bad is the poverty situation that you are dealing with and you're trying to turn around?
Well, we have, I believe we're over 80% unemployed. We do, the funding we do get for, according to the treaties, the funding formula just does not work for us. It's inadequate, and for our population, the population we have right now, it just does not meet our level of capacity, and it's extremely difficult when we try to. It's basically choking our programs out to help our people, and it's just not working. And so we're faced with making that choice of having to cut resources and to help our people. So we're trying to voice that now. So.
Now, talking about trying to voice that, the recent lawsuit, the tribe had sued the federal government, saying that the tribes or the federal government is not living up to the treaty responsibilities of funding law enforcement on the reservation. Judge Lang recently ruled on that, said that the government does have responsibilities in that. Now it's time to come together and figure out a dollar figure on that. Looking at that, where does that leave you? Where does that decision leave you, and how bad is the problem?
Well, it's still a little too early to discuss that and make it public statement, but we are reviewing the situation, and we did make some press releases. I believe we just made one. We made a press release for nationally. The decision was for our people. It's a long time coming. I think it's finally shows that the government is finally looking at honoring our treaty obligations. We've been voicing that, and we believe that we've been ignored for decades, and now what we have, it forced us into going into desperate measures, or taking those desperate measures, and forced us to go into a lawsuit, a litigation here, and then and I'm glad that we're finally being heard.
How strapped is law enforcement there on the reservation right now?
We are in desperate need. We are in dire straits of law enforcement. Not only officers, but also the resources that come along with it. You know, the chief of police stated that, you know, we have about around 5 officers a day patrolling 54,000 membership, tribal membership reservation, you know, over millions of acres, you know, so we're in desperate need, yes. So, and we've been advocating that in Washington, D.C., so.
So what does that do for crime levels? How tough is it? What is the crime situation that you're dealing with, and how difficult does that make to get a handle on that with that few officers out there?
The crime level has increased a lot. Of course, with the lack of funding, it just increased not only the crime, but the drugs and everything else that follows poverty. So, and with the emergency services at a very minimum, it's just overwhelming for our staff. So.
Now you're talking about drugs. Is meth has been a problem all over South Dakota, and it's been an especially big problem on the reservation. Is that continuing still? It is,
and it's so frustrating when our hands are tied and we can't do anything about it. With this litigation that we just went through here, it sheds light, you know, for our people. So I'm hoping that it brings more opportunities for our people in ways that we can recover or meet the needs to catch up on some of these violent crimes that have been happening and replenish our law enforcement. So,
how frustrated does that leave tribal members?
Tribal members are extremely frustrated, you know, and we constantly get calls daily. Our leadership is like I said, you know, we're caught in a bind where we're into desperate measures. You know, we have to take things into our own hands. You know, we do have warrior societies that have been involved in some areas to assist our police department. So.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll continue our conversation with Oglala Sioux Tribal President Frank Starr comes out when we return with this month's edition of Focus. I'm Jack Caudill. Welcome back to this month's edition of Focus. This month we're having a conversation with Oglala Sioux Tribal President Frank Starr comes out. Again, thank you very much for coming up and being with us today. Over the past few years, state and tribal relations have been strained. I think that's pretty safe to say. Where do you think those stand now, and where do you see those going down the road from here?
Well, you know, as far as working with the state, we just had a meeting with them this past week, and what that Senator Rounds wanted to focus on with the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association was to work together. In that capacity, and also in that level, I'm also the chairman of Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association, and what I'm trying to focus on is trying to unite everybody, all the Ochete Shakoi tribes, to work together and also work with the state. Our state officials, and so we can work as one, you know, and work together and tackle things as far as our weather. You know, we have extreme weather, and I believe there's a lack of communication, and we're trying to change that. So.
I know you just had a conference recently going over a lot of the emergency management kind of things. Do you feel like you're making progress?
Some tribal leaders say no. Others, you know, I guess for me, getting all the key players in one room and to share information, it's a start. Some tribes have been in that role of we know the information, but the resources, I guess we're just trying to establish some kind of relationship, you know, like you know, commingle and just see what's available on both sides. And to better our tribes in communication. So,
talking about state tribal relations, how about federal tribal relations? Your relations with the Indian Health Service, your Bureau of Indian Affairs. How do you feel that where do those stand these days?
Well, we reached out. We went to Washington, D.C. Of course, we did testimony over there, and then we also been talking to different departments with the federal government in Washington, D.C. We asked them to come out. HHS has responded. Who else responded? The VA has responded. Let's see, who else responded? USDA has responded. So they came down and met with us. So they're making an effort to come out and communicate with us, which it should be happening. So we established that communication, and we want them to come to our reservation to get firsthand on of how we live on a daily basis on our reservations. Now, you know, not just the Oglala Sioux tribe, but other tribes too as well. So hopefully we can make more meetings with government officials.
What do you want them to know about daily life on the reservation that they may not know, or people in general may not know?
Well, for me, you know, if you come in person, that don't only show. I mean, it shows respect. It shows that you have an interest, and it shows that that communication, that you're interested in, and when we go up there, you know, we always get we meet with government officials to Washington D.C. Well, we're kind of losing hope when we do that, because nothing really happens or has. We feel like those needs are not being met, so we started reaching out to them. Hopefully, we can have more talks about them visiting our reservation, and that's my goal. Is one of my goals is communication between government agencies and tribes here in South Dakota. So.
Now, you mentioned earlier an 80% unemployment rate on the reservation.
Yes.
What can you do to stoke the business climate there, to create jobs? How do you do that?
That's always been a challenge. I'm not saying I'm going to turn things around, but we need to find ways to look in a different direction when it comes to economic development. What kind of resources, what kind of grants, and things like that. We've been in talks with our own tribal government on what can we do to boost our economy. How can we bring in revenue for our tribe? Those things always have been a problem, but it's a tough deal. It's a tough deal. If you look at our geographical location, Rapid City is 80 miles from the nearest the city there, so it's a tough location for us to do those things. So it's hard for us to bring contractors down to our reservation because of our geographical location and limited resources.
Do you see tourism playing a part in all of that?
I do. But we also need to make those. Well, we need to take a look at tourism. I know my tribe is it there? Yes, it is there. We are rich in culture. We are extremely rich in culture and traditions. Some of the things the public does not see. But as far as tourism, it can be touchy too. As far as outsiders coming onto the reservation, so just for safety reasons, I believe. So.
Okay, right. We got to take another break. We'll continue our look at the Pine Ridge Reservation when we continue with this month's edition of Focus. I'm Jack Caudill. Welcome back to this month's edition of Focus, with a conversation with Oglala Sioux Tribal President Frank Starr comes out. We talked a lot about the challenges that you have going on the reservation. What's going right on the Pine Ridge Reservation? What makes you feel optimistic as you walk around there these days?
We always try to stay positive in all the challenges we have. Try to tackle every day with a positive attitude. Some of the things I look at is reaching out to our districts and trying to get them more focused on in their communities, and I'm also trying to help them with their resources. So we're just having talks right now as far as restructuring, not necessarily restructuring, but giving them resources and paying more attention to the community outside in each district. We have 9 districts on our reservation, and they have they all have executive boards and a sort of a structure out in the communities, and I'm just trying to strengthen them districts so they can take on more challenges at their level. So it is coming together, and it's nice to when I go out there and meet people. They also share some of their insight, a lot of their problems, and we just try to see what we can do to better things out in our communities. So
now, looking at your Facebook page, there are pictures of you all over the reservation, in communities and districts all over. Was that something that you set out to do from the beginning? Was that important to you?
Yes, I believe communication is part of it. We need to be transparent and get everybody involved. That's what I want to do. Is the people, they want that. They want transparency. They want better communication. So what I'm trying to do is not only go out there, but share the information that happens within our tribal government. There's so many things happening at all levels, all the way from the grassroots in the communities, all the way to Washington D.C. Lobbying for funds. So, and also working with the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association. We have issues on a national level, state level. So it's kind of, it keeps me busy, extremely busy, and then every time I turn around, I got questions or people to meet and talk with about situations, plans, opportunities. So there's so many things out there that keep me busy. So so far, it's been one heck of a road.
What's the future of the Oglala Sioux tribe? Where do you see the tribe going 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now?
Well, I think about that all the time. We have two different. To me, I feel we have different governments. We have a traditional government, and we have the we call it the IRA government, the Indian Reorganization Act, which is the tribal council, and of course my position, and we have a traditional government, which is the Ochete Shakoi tribal council, or traditional leaders. So, and the elders. So I try to balance that out, and I try not to make any decisions without stepping on each other's feet. So it is challenging when you have when all these decisions that need to be made. You have to look out and make sure you don't step on anybody's feet. And we all try to, and I try to think everybody as a whole.
I hate to cut you off, but we have completely run out of time.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Oglala Sioux Tribal President Frank Starr comes out. Thank you very, very, very much for coming, and hopefully you won't run yourself ragged here.
Well, I'll try not to.
All right. That was good for us. See you again.